Thanks, Jenny. First of all, Carl Nixon, and I'm the Chief Information Officer for the New Zealand Defence Force. Firstly, I'm not a technologist, and I'm not an officer for the Communications, Information and Systems trade. I'm an aircrew officer, and I've spent most of my career flying aeroplanes like Orions or Nimrods in the RAF and other assorted types. So I've been a user of technology, not necessarily a provider. I was appointed as the Chief Information Officer about 3 months ago. As far as I'm aware, I'm the first uniformed CIO for the NZDF. In about 20 minutes' time, I'll be joined by Brendon, who's the Director of Strategic Joint Communications, or we call him J6 in our language, since late 2019. He's a weapon engineer in the New Zealand Navy with a background in communications and information systems. And his recent postings have included the Director of Naval Strategy and command positions, and he has also attended the US Naval War College in Rhode Island. I'll first talk to you about CIS branch and the transformation program that we're going through, and then Brendon will take over and provide an overview of the information domain within the NZDF and strategic links and approaches both nationally and internationally. So Lewis Carroll, in Through the Looking Glass, neatly sums up the challenge in which the term information finds itself. When I use a word Humpty Dumpty said in rather a scornful tone, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less. It's now a Humpty Dumpty word for which many hold their own unique understanding, and this has arisen because we would like to create a simple definition for ourselves that fits the arguments we wish to make. As you've heard in the earlier presentations, the NZDF refers to information in 4 key ways. Systems and services, or the traditional tech, of which I'm the leader of in the NZDF. Information management, which is led by the Chief Data Officer, who is part of CIS branch. Security and assurance, led by the Chief Information Security Officer, who you've heard from just before. And warfare, or the information domain. That's electronic warfare, cyber, intelligence. And that's actually led by Group Captain Peter Franken in Capability Branch. The point that I'm sure has already been made by my colleagues is that information is becoming an outcome in its own right. It is no longer just an input to warfare. There is now a portfolio of bricks in the wall, so to speak, each connected together to support the Humpty Dumpty of the information domain. This philosophy isn't a strategy yet, but it highlights 3 important points. First, it articulates an enterprise view of the future, where more common foundational technology is delivered across multiple elements of the NZDF. Second, it calls for a system view that drives outcomes for the NZDF, in our case, CDF's strategic outcome of a networked combat force. And third, as we modernise our digital defence information environment, or DIE, we must recognise now more than ever the importance of collaboration with our industry and academic partners, but in ways that are more relational and not just set in an acquisition mindset. But more on that later. Firstly, I want to update you on what's been happening in the transformation of delivering systems and services in the CIS branch of the NZDF. We're going through a significant transformation, but unlike the caterpillar, we don't get to lock ourselves away in a cocoon while we change the way we are working and the way we deliver products and services. We're doing it while still maintaining and sustaining NZDF systems, so everything is out in the open. We're literally changing the business while also running it. Or as an Air Force Chief Information Officer might say, we're building the aircraft while flying it. I recently issued my commander's guidance to the branch. At the outset, I reminded the branch that our job is to deliver our vision, an integrated information environment that continuously evolves to meet the needs of our Air Force now and into the future. Our purpose is to connect our force to the people, the information and the technology they need to get their job done. I am determined that we will deliver systems and services that underpin the integrated defence force and enable the NZDF to deploy and operate as a network combat force. We have a plan to ensure we remain focused on delivering our vision. We will embed our branch's new operating model, deliver the new Defence Information Platform, and enable the networked combat force. but we must be able to continue to operate and sustain systems and services alongside the transformation program. But we'll need to be careful with managing our resources. We must be mindful of the challenges New Zealand will face as we emerge from the pandemic and contribute to our nation's economic recovery. We will balance our plans with assigned funding and personnel resources. And we will communicate a coherent narrative of our prioritised work and be disciplined about deciding the value of accepting new work, given the need to sustain existing services that support our mission. I told the branch that I have 3 priorities for the branch during this period. Firstly, to set the foundations of our plan. We will strengthen the policy and architecture work needed to create the DIE, including information management layer for our operating model. This allows us to promote, develop, and sustain the delivery of an information environment that is understood and supported by the NZDF senior leadership and used by all members of the NZDF to deliver their assigned military outputs. A critical component of our military-centric policy will be to deepen our understanding of our new operating model so we can apply it to our own work and so our NZDF partners can engage with us more easily and with greater clarity. Second, we need to manage our workflow better. We will create and apply a prioritised and business-led portfolio of objectives that integrates our new delivery methodology and product management with the Defence Forces investment process. A portfolio that is achievable and affordable, informed by a relevant performance management framework, will better match demand to supply and demonstrate to the Defence Force our commitment to meeting their demand with our available resources. Managing the portfolio will require us to improve our branch governance to provide clarity on our work priorities and when choosing between investing our resources in either capability uplift, business as usual operations, or continuous improvement, including better managing our risk profile. Finally, we have to continue to support and ensure we can apply the transformation to our business. We will deliver the investment objectives directed by government in enterprise cloud and connectivity and start work on the objectives being developed now in enterprise productivity and the information management investment cases. More on that in a few minutes. By delivering these changes to the DIE, we will provide a common set of services to connect a more mobile force and allow us to respond faster to changes in demands from the NZDF, simply to serve the front line better. Alongside the transitions to new systems, services and operating models, we also need to conduct the business change, which is ultimately about supporting our people to successfully adopt the change. We'll have to complete recruitment, including welcoming new employees, upskilling ourselves both technically and culturally, and leading our people through the business change. Conveying my priorities to the branch like this means they are all empowered to act boldly and decisively to achieve them, within the resources we have been allocated to deliver the vision. Now that we're on track to create a defence information environment, we will further develop the collective confidence we have in each other to deliver it. Now let's have a look at what investments we're making in our transformation. But first, why is the Defence Force making so much investment in the DIE? Our existing information technology infrastructure is out of date and experiencing significantly slowed and degraded performance. Our current information management maturity is not fit for purpose, and without investment, we'll continue to degrade, and the goals of Strategy 25, the Defence Capability Plan, and the Strategic Defence Policy Statement 2018 will not be met. To deliver a secure and integrated information environment, we need to move to commodity ICT services being delivered by external suppliers, with Defence Force resource focusing on the integration and exploitation of new capability and the management and exploitation of information. So the graphic here depicts the connected nature of our campaign plan and represents the Defence Information Platform growth. We're delivering 2 technology projects that were approved in Cabinet in June 2020. And this is cloud and connectivity, and they'll be delivered over calendar year 21. Enterprise Cloud will replace the NZDF's compute and storage infrastructure with secure off-premises cloud services for restricted and below, or R&B, and on-premises cloud infrastructure for secret and above. The advent of commercial cloud technologies is changing the way we will develop, deliver, deploy, and ultimately buy applications, systems, and services. Cloud is the foundation upon which defence will build and scale more effective command and control and future-enabling capabilities, such as analytical capabilities. We will partner with industry to securely deliver commercial cloud capabilities consistent with our mission requirements, and will manage these capabilities across the enterprise, including at the tactical edge, for improved effectiveness and efficiency. Enterprise connectivity is commercially managed connectivity services, including domestic and international intersite connectivity, the R&B network across all our domestic sites, and centrally managed mobile services. In the main, we're partnered with Vodafone via the All of Government Telecommunications as a Service, or TAS panel. We plan to present enterprise productivity to Cabinet in early 2021. This initiative plans to refresh devices and solutions that allow users to access the R&B network, including the software that is used commonly by all users. It will deliver a unified communication system for all corporate devices at R&B. We're also working on an information management program that's in its startup phase right now. This roadmap of work will allow the Defence Force to realise the full value of information asset as a strategic enabler across all lines of operations, and a bit more about that later. Other capability will then be built on the platform that is established by these four investments. For example, delivery of a high-side information and technology capability to enable the NZDF to collaborate with partners and exchange relevant information with high trust. We also need to determine the appropriate ERP capability for the NZDF to enable an enterprise view of core financial, people, and logistic information. And this would also consolidate multiple systems to improve information security and better enable deployability. We're at a critical stage of our transformation now. We are working with Vodafone on our camps and bases pilot for connectivity, and are preparing our advice to the CISO and CDF to seek an approval to operate for pre-production environment for cloud R&B. New people are coming on board, and we're starting to change the way we do business. Now, this picture here is of a Hercules crew as they're preparing to descend and land after a long flight. From my experience, the flight deck starts getting quiet. The banter stops, the transition from the mission to arrival and approach charts are reviewed, and the crew become totally focused on entering the low level and landing phase of the mission. This is where we are now with the transformation program. We're entering a new phase of our transformation, and we want to know how we're going to safely transition to the next phase of our mission. Sure, there's a flight plan, but we can't plan for every eventuality. The runway might change. Air traffic control might issue some late notice instructions that we must comply with, or we might have to burn precious fuel while we wait our turn to land. So we have to remain flexible, help each other out if things get complex or challenging, and keep an eye out for each other and our partners. We're in the same frame of mind in our branch. We're really focused on our goal right now, and we want people who can help us reach that quickly, efficiently, and effectively. Simply, we can't be distracted by other agendas or an outdated understanding of what we're about and where we're heading. Ultimately, despite all the talk about platforms and technology, our branch is about the 450 odd people that serve New Zealand. Delivering our strategy will only be achieved when we've changed the way we think and act. We've adopted lean, agile ways of working, improving collaboration, flexibility, productivity, efficiency, whole-of-life product management. This will help improve certainty and predictability around delivery. We're creating a work environment where our people operate with a lean, agile mindset and embrace the lean, agile principles to continuously innovate, improve, and respond to changes in the environment so the flow of value is continually delivered on an enduring basis. This year, 2 significant Cabinet-approved business cases, that's cloud and connectivity, is actually making sure our soldiers, sailors and airmen have the information they need anywhere, anytime. Adopting cloud technology provides us with a scalable, flexible and secure platform. Ultimately, it's about sharing data, information, knowledge and yes, even wisdom in a much more efficient way. For example, our new IT service management tool, Sherwell, or as we've nicknamed it, Ticket, will be introduced in the next few months, and it will streamline processes, improve service performance and accessibility to services. ITSM will be a single source of truth for end users and customers. It will measure our performance and drive continuous improvement, build, maintain, protect and lifecycle manage our service catalogue, and capture, retain and manage knowledge to enhance the reliability and maintainability of our services. We've also just completed the third and final consultation with CIS branch staff for the roles required to support our new ways of working. We're making sure we have the right capability. It's the vital people part of the people, process, technology and environment of our transformation program. We envisage the people part of the transformation being completed by June next year, so our new operating model will be populated with 350 civilians and between 60 and 90 military members. Our goal is to reduce to a near zero contracted workforce. Recruiting and reassignments for our final tranches seems to be going well, but it's not easy. That said, we're getting about 75% of our former staff staying with the NZDF, and our external recruiting campaign levers off the new technologies we're introducing. And the fact that, as far as I know, we're the only IT department in Wellington with our tank in our engineering lab. All of this is about making sure we have a branch that can enable NZDF's strategic outputs, and of course the Network Combat Force envisaged in Strategy 25. But we're not there yet. Despite a hugely talented and committed workforce, investment from the three services into my branch, and a changed operating model, we need thinking, not things. Remember, these guys would hang around your house for hours after you'd finished work, trying to sell you a multi-purpose gadget predicated on convincing you that you needed one. Brochure conversations and demos of the latest widgets are not going to be fertile ground for either of us now. We're now much more strongly focused on solving business problems and business outcomes, and we'd like you to be too. I consider value to be a combination of cost and benefit and risk. And my view is that the best way to support my people in the branch and the NZDF is to allow them to think, partner, and develop new ways of solving business problems. We're taking a different approach. No more stovepipe projects. We're aiming to be an integrated combat force by 2025. We're developing a balanced portfolio of work based on business priorities and objectives. And this picture here shows our wall of anticipation at our impact centre in Petone. The business stands in front of that wall, and they'll have more say in their products. We work alongside them in terms of development and framing up the art of the possible and during the design. I think the business needs to own the problem they're trying to solve and the outcome. Now, network-centric warfare is fine, but information gives us an advantage. Indeed, speaking as a military leader, I often say that our poor information management leads to uncertainty around decision-making. And in our industry, uncertainty kills, or perhaps more positively, certainty saves lives. We're really keen on information and using it well to enable military effect. Size doesn't matter anymore. The information domain provides a huge multiplier effect on a defence force the size of New Zealand's. So the four clear lines of information mentioned earlier, technology, information management, security and warfare, in terms of warfare, they all now overlap. Our view on sourcing frameworks is that they must contribute to strategic growth for both of us. We can stick to our knitting then and draw on external expertise in a much more productive way. We also use supplier segmentation to determine how much a supplier will be of value to the NZDF. Suppliers, not contracts, are assessed against two key criteria, namely alignment to our business and the cost to exit, or essentially how hard is it to replace a supplier. We work to 6 key principles: empowered cross-functional teams, best total value, honest, ethical and fair dealings, externally linked supply solutions and supply assurance, competition and collaboration, and finally, supplier incumbency. Well, that's it from me, and I guess that's what CTP has been up to and what the branch looks for the branch in the next few months. I'll now just hand you over to Brendon, and he'll talk to you about where we fit into the NZDF and our international operations.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Captain Brendon Oakley, and as mentioned, I'm the Director of Joint Strategic Communications for the NZDF. The area SJ6 has 4 main functions: communication and information systems capability coherence across the NZDF, that's the domains and the 3 services, advancing interoperability within the NZDF and internationally, and leading multinational military communication information engagements. Thirdly, ensuring strategic alignment with the NZDF 2025 strategy and with ICT CIS strategies developed and progressed by multinational arrangements that the NZDF is part of. Lastly, a responsibility of my office is to guide NZDF ICT CIS development to deliver military effect, and you would have heard the Air Commodore mention that earlier. With these in mind, with these key functions in mind, I would like to firstly talk specifically about New Zealand and our place in the world, as this has a significant influence on the NZDF in the delivery of military effect. As you're aware, New Zealand's by nature and geography a large maritime nation, as illustrated on the slide showing the search and rescue area that New Zealand has responsibility for. Unique features of New Zealand include the most inland point is just 120 kilometres from the sea, and just 4% of our sovereign territory is above the high tide mark. We are geographically remote, and our closest neighbour is 1,165 nautical miles away. We have vast areas of responsibility with a coastline of over 15,000 kilometres and one of the largest exclusive economic zones in the world, which is approximately 5 times the land area. And as mentioned, a search and rescue area that is 30 million square kilometres. That equates to almost 10% of the surface area of the world's oceans. As a nation, we have a large responsibility. We are therefore very aware of the challenges in our front yard in the Southwest Pacific, such as the potential fragility of the region. This includes communications fragility, the consequences of climate change, and the increasing need for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, or HADR. The NZDF provides the Government of New Zealand with options to assist with challenges such as these and more. And with the operating area of the Defence Force stretching from the Antarctic ice shelf to the equator and beyond, communication information exchange services and advances can greatly reduce many of the challenges associated with geographic isolation, and of most relevance today, enhance the ability of the NZDF to deliver military effect for the government and people of New Zealand. In the context of an increasingly challenging and complex strategic environment, the Government of New Zealand expects the NZDF to continue to work alongside partners in the region and further afield to promote regional and global security, and to make credible contributions to strengthen international rules-based order. Whilst the NZDF will conduct some operations on its own, most deployments will be undertaken alongside other government agencies and international partners and allies. This requires the NZDF to maintain sophisticated capabilities that deliver for New Zealand and that are valued and interoperable with key partners. To enable the NZDF to contribute to coalition operations, a myriad of communications and information systems, bearers and networks are utilised. Satellite communications such as the wideband global SATCOM, complemented by commercial satellite constellations, are essential mission enablers. Additional NZDF beyond line of sight communications include an HF refresh initiative to provide redundancy and resilience. The NZDF needs to be prepared to operate in a challenging and changing environment, such as in a contested environment, and even in high latitudes, such as down on the ice, where the ability to maintain communication and information exchange is constrained. There is a real need for conducting some levels of experimentation and research and development to find viable solutions in a denied, degraded, in intermittent and low bandwidth environments. These challenges and the information domain itself, as raised this morning, are not foreign to us. And the 2018 Strategic Defence Policy Statement highlights that managing and effectively using information is fundamental to the NZDF. The strategic direction recognised an influencing reliance on network communication and computer systems, increased threats manifesting in and through cyberspace, the need to play our part in general cyber resilience by protecting our own networks and sharing expertise with domestic and international partners, the need to maintain pace with defence partners to ensure a high level of network interoperability for seamless integration of capabilities and effects. And lastly, as already mentioned, the need for secure, resilient and assured communications in denied, degraded, intermittent and low bandwidth environments. So recently, as the Director of Joint Strategic Communications, commonly known as the SJ6, I was asked my viewpoint on a problem statement for the information domain review. Essentially, what gap would the information domain fill? As raised in the initial brief today by Group Captain Pete Franken and Mr. Nick Gillard. The answer I provided to the team, from my own personal perspective that is there is a need for a coherent, systematic understanding of the information domain and how to seamlessly integrate with the traditional domains as a force multiplier for the generation of military effect. And taking the time to reflect on my initial response to the information domain review team and what was presented earlier today with regards to the definition of the information domain, the why and the what, I'm pleased to see there's some alignment between the two, thankfully, and also that there are key themes that stand out. The need for a framework to coherently deliver and sustain information-based capabilities. The information domain can act as a force multiplier and enable the right decisions to be made at the right time. Information has changed the character of warfare and has a growing role in the generation of military effect. And lastly, the need to integrate traditional domains to enhance conventional capabilities. Again, referencing back to the earlier presentation where the functional areas of capability were introduced. Intelligence, cyber and electromagnetic activities, C4 and information activities. These are not new capabilities. However, there is now a concentrated effort to focus and give them coherence and ownership. The effort and emergence and formal establishment of the information domain within the NZDF will aid in the exploration of opportunities between the NZDIA and the NZDF. Notably, there are a number of NZDF projects and activities that have substantial information domain dependencies and are essential to realise the NZDF Strategy 2025 goal of a network combat force. There's the frigate systems upgrade and subsequent communications upgrade, the introduction into service of the P8 Poseidon aircraft, Enhanced Maritime Awareness Capability Project, or commonly known as the EMAC, and as already briefed today, the Cyber Project and the Joint Intelligence Project. With the emergence of the information domain and the introduction of many modern platforms and capabilities, there are many areas that the NZDF needs to explore and understand. After a short time in the SJ6 role, I wanted to gain clarity on domain integration, to gain an appreciation of where we should be looking with regards to information strengthening, enhancing the NZDF's ability to deliver military effect. And following a conversation with a peer, I raised this query, and I was referred to the UK Strategic Command inaugural conference that took place in February of this year, and particularly to a short presentation by the Deputy Commander of UK Strategic Command, Lieutenant General Rob McGowan, who shared his thoughts on the multi-domain integration. It's well worth a look. The General's thoughts resonated strongly, and it was somewhat reassuring that other nations and larger militaries, considerably larger, are grappling with similar challenges related to the multi-domain integration, such as the data links between domains, data hosting environments and design, identity access management, and to enable access to the hosting environment, what applications, and how to turn huge amounts of data into usable and valuable information, command and control, and the agility to make the right decision at the right time at the right place. These are just some of the questions that are being asked by other nations and defence forces. And they have some answers. However, it's acknowledged that there is much more to learn. and that industry can potentially have a huge role in this development journey. In the contemporary operating environment, our objectives and requirements are not static. Operators are demanding a greater range of interoperability solutions to satisfy their mission imperatives, extending from the strategic to the tactical edge. In short, we have an emerging gap between what we can deliver and what the mission demands. There is a need to identify tactical, operational, and strategic mission interoperability requirements, and New Zealand has a role in promoting, leading, influencing information exchange and interoperability policy, standards, processes, and procedures alongside traditional partners and allies. And it's thought increased wargaming and experimentation will likely assist us to determine what capabilities are required to contest certain situations. There is also a need to achieve economies of scale in the delivery of services, promote standardization, and encourage the use of common enterprise solutions for emerging interoperability challenges. This is achieved collaboratively, usually through organizations such as the Five Eyes, and they have regular engagement on these topics, as recently as last week, as a matter of fact. Through the Five Eyes, the Combined Communications and Electronics Board, or more commonly known as the CCEB. They recently released a revamped strategic mission statement, and just a couple of months back, which reads, C4 interoperability in order to enable military effects across all domains of warfare. It is recognised to achieve this strategic objective that the board must provide technical leadership to encourage institutional standardization across defence forces and manage common interoperability interfaces. Additionally, need to advocate and influence national capability design, development, and delivery of C4 interoperability solutions from the strategic to the tactical edge is recognised by the CCEB. Broader mission imperatives need to be considered, and where appropriate, alignment with policies, standards, and capabilities being delivered not only across the Five Eyes, but also other partners is essential, as is addressing emerging requirements being generated by non-traditional partners. Initiatives such as the NATO-led Federated Mission Network, or FMN, and the US-led Mission Partner Environment, commonly known as MPE, are leading the charge with common standards and interoperability policy and structures. To talk a little bit about FMN and MPE, firstly, the mission of the Federated Mission Networking is day zero interoperability, supporting the rapid deployment of forces by federated partner nations' mission networking capabilities. The long-range vision is interoperability by design, which will be achieved in the midterm by adapting existing capabilities. We'll use a maximum use of existing agreed upon standards, capabilities, collaborative acquisitions, service level agreements, and organizational structures. Now, looking at the MPE, the Mission Partner Environment, is a US implementation of the FMN construct and builds upon it. It provides the US capability framework to enable the joint force to share information and exchange data with mission partners, from the strategic to the tactical edge. It requires accessible and integrated databases and applications, standards-based operational architecture, and collaborative networking services. So in short, MPE is a global information sharing environment built on common standards, policies, governance, technology, and tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTP. This will see the rationalization and folding of existing mission networks into a more consistent and manageable suite of systems. FNM and MPE are already influencing NZDF capability developments with large projects such as the Network-Enabled Army, designed to meet FMN and MPE standards to ensure future interoperability with partners and allies. This strategic approach will continue with other NZDF projects and initiatives. We, the NZDF and partners and allies, cannot solve our interoperability challenge on our own. We need to align our collective resources and drive towards common solutions. I believe industry has a key role to play in this partnership building initiative and will ultimately be responsible for the implementation of solutions to ensure success of our future operations. There is an increased desire, willingness, and ambition to further develop relationships through NZDF Strategy 2025. And the role of industry to achieve a network combat force, specifically highlighted as an objective within the high-level strategy, as we will work effectively with our domestic and commercial partners to achieve shared outcomes. So what does all this mean for the NZDF and NZDIA? I suggest our future does not lie in bespoke stovepipes networks. It lies in open and interoperable ecosystems of products and services supporting trusted cross-domain solutions. These will need to deliver secure information exchange service to address an increasing range of mission requirements, both within the traditional coalition environments and, when needed, with non-traditional partners. I anticipate that increasingly congested, contested, and perhaps denied spectrum battle space, our interoperability challenges will become increasingly complex and assured interoperability and conflict more challenging. With a greater reliance on information to conduct military operations and the growing requirement to integrate platforms and capabilities from the traditional land, maritime, and air domains, this continues to generate increased complexity for the NZDF. However, this is, and most importantly, it also brings greater opportunity for the NZDF when conducting operations. To exploit these opportunities, as Air Commodore Nixon raised, the NZDF needs more ideas, not more things. And there is a substantial shift away from the NZDF alongside partners and allies, moving away from being network system-centric to knowledge and information-centric. With increased complexity introduced with the evolution of the information domain, there is a growing requirement for the NZDF to adopt and modify traditional relationship had with industry and to move away from attempting to do all things in the ICT CIS arena. It is proposed that a new operating model approach be developed to have industry concentrate on delivering and being responsible for functions and roles that have generally been undertaken by the Defence Force, and that NZDF places full focus on areas within the information domain that industry can't do for them. For example, industry could possibly deliver certain elements of cybersecurity, freeing up NZDF resource in effort to concentrate on operational and sensitive requirements. With this example, it is likely that commercial organisations would have the critical mass, economies of scale, and a wide spectrum of networks and relationships to stay ahead of the game and combat potential cybersecurity threats. In summary, the NZDF within the information domain is seeking new innovative solutions that enable an affordable, scalable, sustainable, secure, and interoperable suite of information sharing and data exchange capabilities. There is a need for a new approach and level of engagement between the NZDF and industry with regards to the information domain, as we don't have the complete picture. Everyone is, or can choose to be, a piece of the puzzle. And we need to know we're all working on this together, and most importantly, solving the same puzzle. So, on behalf of Air Commodore Nixon and myself, NZDF CIS, we commit to sharing insights and strategy on an ongoing basis with industry, providing early visibility of strategic roadmaps and plans, an annual technology partner forum, applying an effective and appropriate vendor governance and engagement model, being transparent around partner performance and strategic direction. And in return, we have hope that the NZDA will aim and continue to add true value, share market trends and insights into strategies and roadmaps, fully participate in joint service and process improvements on an ongoing basis, be an open and transparent partner, fully participate in the supplier engagement framework, and, as mentioned by the good Air Commodore, provide solutions, not brochures. Lastly, industry has a significant role to play in the development of information domain and information capabilities, systems, and resources to optimize decision-making in a complex environment. The relationship with industry will enable the NZDF to continue to be able to operate in all areas of the world. Thank you.